The Hebrew Gospel of Matthew, chapter 1. These are the generations of Yeshua, the son of David, the son of Abraham. Abraham begot Yitzhak, Yitzhak begot Yaakov, Yaakov begot Yehuda and his brothers. Yehuda begot Peretz and Zerach by Tamar. Peretz begot Hezron, Hezron begot Ram. And Ram begot Amminadab, Amminadab begot Nachshon, Nachshon begot Salmon, Salmon begot Boaz by Rahab, Boaz begot Obed by Ruth, and Obed begot Yishai. Yishai begot David the king, David begot Shlomo by the wife of Uriah, and Shlomo begot Rechavam. Rechavam begot Aviah, and Aviah begot Asa. And Asa begot Jehoshaphat. Jehoshaphat begot Joram. Joram begot Uzziyahu. Uzziyahu begot Jotham. Jotham begot Ahaz. Ahaz begot Ketziyahu. Ketziyahu begot Manasseh. Manasseh begot Ammon. Ammon begot Yoshiyahu. Yoshiyahu begot Jeconiah and his brothers in the Babylonian exile. Jeconiah begot Shealtiel. Shealtiel begot Zerubbabel. Zerubbabel begot Abiach. Abiachad begot Abner. Abner begot Eliakim. Eliakim begot Azor. Azor begot Zadok. Zadok begot Ammon. Ammon begot Elichud. Elichud begot Eleazar. Eleazar begot Matan. Matan begot Yaakov. Yaakov begot Joseph. Joseph, who was betrothed to Miriam the virgin, who begot Yeshua, who is called Messiah. And all the generations of Abraham to David are 14 generations, and from David to Babylon exile are 14 generations, and from the Babylon exile to the Messiah are 14 generations. And the birth of Yeshua the Messiah was this way, after his mother Miriam was betrothed to Joseph. Before he came unto her, the Ruach HaKodesh found her pregnant. And Joseph, her husband, was a righteous man, and not willing to deliver her up to death, and not to disclose her. Only it was in his heart to send her away in secret. And while he thought on this, the angel appeared to him in a dream, saying, Joseph, son of David, fear not to take Miriam your wife, for that which will be born of her is from the Ruach HaKodesh. For from the Ruach HaKodesh she has conceived, and behold, she will bear a son, and you will call his name Yeshua, for he will save his people from all their sins. And all this was to fulfill what was spoken from Yehu by the prophet Yeshayahu, saying, Behold, the virgin will conceive, and bear a son, and will call his name Emmanuel. And Joseph awoke from his sleep, and did as the angel of Yehu had commanded him, and took her as his wife. And he had no relation with her until she had borne her son, the firstborn, and he called his name Yeshua. Chapter 2. And after Yeshua was born in Bethlehem, a city of Yehuda, in the days of Herod the king, behold, there came magicians from the east to Jerusalem, saying, Where is he that is born King of the Jews? For we have seen his star in the east, and have come to pay homage to him. And when Herod heard, he was filled with anger, he and all Jerusalem with him. And he gathered all the chief Kohanim and scribes of the people, and inquired from them in what place the Messiah should be born. And they said to him, In Bethlehem, Yehuda, for thus it was spoken by the mouth of the prophet. But you, Bethlehem Ephratah, are not to be lightly esteemed among the thousands of Yehuda, for from you shall he come forth to me, which is to be ruler among my people Israel. Then Herod called the magicians in secret and questioned them diligently as to the time of the star which had appeared to them. And he sent them to Bethlehem, and said, Go and inquire diligently concerning the boy, and when you have found him, tell me, in order that I may come and pay homage to him also. And when they had heard the king, they went, and behold, the star which they saw in the east went before their eyes until it came and stood still above, over against where the boy was. And when they saw the star, they rejoiced with exceeding great joy. And they came into the house, and they found the boy and his mother Miriam, and with him they fell on the ground, and paid homage to him, and opened their stores, and they presented to him gifts, gold, and frankincense, and myrrh. And it came to pass, they were fast asleep, and behold, the angel appeared to them, saying, Beware of returning to Jerusalem to Herod. And they went and returned to their own land by another way. And after they had departed, behold, the angel of Yehu appeared to Joseph in a dream, saying, Arise, take the boy and his mother, and flee you away into Egypt, and be there. And there you will stay until I return to you. For Herod is seeking to put the boy to death. And he arose and did as the angel had said to him, and took up the boy and his mother by night, and departed into Egypt, and was there until the death of Herod, to fulfill what was spoken from Yehu by the prophet, who said, From out of Egypt I have called my son. Then Herod, seeing that he was deceived by the magicians, was exceedingly furious, and sent forth, and put to death all the boys that were in Bethlehem, in all the border thereof, from 2 years old and under, as he had heard the set time from the Magi. Then was established that which was spoken by Yirmiyahu the prophet, upon whom be peace, who said, A voice was heard in Ramah, lamentation and bitter weeping, Rachel weeping for her children. She refuses to be comforted for her children, because they are no more. And after Herod the king was dead, behold, the angel of Yehu appeared in a dream to Joseph in Egypt, saying, Arise, and take up the boy and his mother, and go into the Eretz Israel, for they are dead which sought the child's nephesh. And he arose and took the child and his mother, and came to Eretz Israel. And when he heard that Archelaus reigned in Yehuda, in the place of Herod his father, he was afraid to go there, and being warned in sleep, he went to the land of Galilee, and came and dwelt in the city of Nazareth, to fulfill what was spoken by the mouth of the prophet, for he will be called Nazareth. Chapter 3. In those days Yochanan the immerser was called, and he cried in the wilderness of Yehuda, saying, Make you teshuvah in your lives, for the kingdom of heaven is offered to come. And this is he of whom Yeshayahu spoke, saying, A voice crying in the wilderness, Prepare you the way of Yehu, make straight in the desert a path for our Elohim. And the garment of Yochanan was of camel's hair, and a leather belt about his waist, and his food was the locust and wild honey. Then they went out to him from Jerusalem and from Yehuda, and from all the region of the Jordan, and were immersed of him in the Jordan, and confessing their sins. And when he saw many from the Perushim and from the Zadocim which came to his immersion, he said to them, Generation of vipers, who has informed you to flee from the wrath to come? Bring forth therefore the fruit in keeping with repentance, and say not among yourselves, Because Abraham is our father. For I say to you that Elohim has the power to raise up sons of Abraham from these stones. And already the axe is laid at the root of the trees, and every tree which yields not good fruit will be cut down and cast into the fire. Behold, I am only immersing you in water to repentance, and he that comes after me is mightier than I, whose sandals I am not fit to carry, and he will immerse you with the fire of the Ruach HaKodesh, whose winnowing fork is in his hand, that he may clean his threshing floor, and gather his wheat into the granary, and he will burn up the chaff in the unquenchable fire. Then came Yeshua from Galilee by the Jordan to Yochanan, that he may be immersed of him. And Yochanan spoke to him, saying, I have need to be immersed of you, and you come to me? Then Yeshua answered and said to him, Permit it now, for in this it is an obligation for us to fulfill all righteousness. He gave him leave and immersed him. And after Yeshua was immersed and gone up from the water, and behold, the heavens were opened to him, and behold, the Spirit of Elohim descending from the heavens as the likeness of a dove, and coming upon him. And behold, from the heavens a voice saying, This is my beloved Son, in whom my nephesh is pleased. Chapter 4. Then Yeshua was led up by the Ruach HaKodesh into the wilderness in order that he might be tempted by Satan. And when he had fasted 40 days and 40 nights, afterwards he was hungry, and the tempter came. He said to him, If you are the Son of Elohim, say to these stones, Be made bread. And Yeshua answered and said, It is written, For not by bread alone will man live, but by everything that proceeds from the mouth of Yahuwah will man live. Then Satan took him up to the set-apart city, and set him on a turret of the temple, and said to him, If you are the Son of Elohim, drop yourself down, for surely it is written, For he will give his angels charge concerning you, to keep you in all your ways. Upon the palms of their hands they will bear you up, lest you dash your foot against a stone. And Yeshua answered him and said, It is also written, You shall not tempt Yahuwah your Elohim. And again Satan took him up into an exceedingly high mountain, and showed him all, from the kingdoms of the world and their glory, and said to him, All these I will give you, if you will fall down and worship me. Then said Yeshua to him, Get yourself gone, adversary, for it is written, Yahuwah your Elohim you shall worship, and him alone you shall serve. Then Satan left him, and behold, angels drew near and attended him. And after Yeshua had heard that Yochanan was imprisoned, he went to Galilee, and leaving Nazareth, he left and dwelt in Capharnaum, which is a city by the sea on the border of Zebulun and Naphtali, to establish what was spoken by the mouth of Yeshayahu the prophet, who said, Land of Zebulun and land of Naphtali, the way of the sea beyond Jordan, Galilee of the Goyim. The people that walked in darkness have seen a great light. The inhabitants of the land of the shadow of death, a light has shined upon them. And then began Yeshua to cry, saying, Turn you in repentance, for the kingdom of heaven is offered. And when Yeshua was walking by the seashore of Galilee, he saw two brothers, Shimon, who was called Kepha, and Andrew his brother, casting a net into the sea, for they were fishers. And he said to them, Follow me, and I will make you fishers of men. And they immediately left the nets and followed him. And when he departed from there, he saw two other brothers, Yaakov ben Zavadi and Yochanan his brother, in a boat with Zavadi their father, mending their nets. And he called them, and they immediately left the boat and their father and followed him. And Yeshua went about all Galilee, teaching in their synagogues and announcing the good news of the kingdom, and healing all manner of sickness and pain among the people. And the report of him went out to all the people, and they brought to him all that had any physical illness, or that had fallen into various ailments and diseases, and those that were possessed by shadim, both epileptics and paralytics, and he healed them. And there followed him great crowds from Galilee, and from 10 towns, and from Jerusalem, and from Yehuda, and from beyond Jordan. Chapter 5. And when Yeshua saw the crowds, he went up to a mountain, and after he had sat down, his Talmudim approached him, and he opened his mouth and taught them, saying, Happy are the poor of spirit, for theirs is the kingdom of heaven. Happy are the mourners, for they will be comforted. Happy are the meek, for they will inherit the land. Happy are they which hunger and thirst for righteousness, for they will be satisfied. Happy are the merciful, for they will obtain mercy. Happy are the pure in heart, for they will see Elohim. Happy are the peacemakers, for they will be called the sons of Elohim. And happy are they which are persecuted for the sake of righteousness, for theirs is the kingdom of heaven. Happy are you when men shall revile you and persecute you, and shall say all evil against you falsely for my sake. Rejoice and be glad, for great is your reward in heaven. For persecuted they the prophets which were before you. You are the salt of the earth, and if the salt has lost its savor, how will it be salted? It is afterwards good for nothing, but to be cast outside and trampled by man. You are the light of the world. A city that is set on a hill cannot be hidden. Neither do they obtain a lamp to put it under a measure, but on a lampstand to give light to all that are in the house. So let your light shine before the sons of men, in order that they may see your good works, to honor your Father which is in heaven. Think not I have come to abolish the Torah or the prophets. I have not come to abolish, but to fulfill. Truly I say to you, until heaven and earth pass away, not one yud or one hook will pass away from the Torah until they are fulfilled. And whosoever shall abolish one of these least commandments, and shall teach the sons of men so, the same will be called least in the kingdom of heaven. And whoever shall keep one of these least commandments, and shall teach the sons of men so, the same will be called greatest in the kingdom of heaven. And I tell you, unless your righteousness exceeds the righteousness of the Perushim and the scribes, you will not come into the kingdom of heaven. You have heard what was said to them of old, You shall not murder, and whoever commits murder, the same will be condemned to the judgment. But I tell you that whoever shall be enraged against his brother, he will be condemned to the judgment. And whoever says to his brother, You are nothing, he will be condemned to the council of the synagogue. And whoever says to him, You impious one, he will be condemned to the fire of Gehenna. And if you present your offering at the altar, and there remember that your brother has something against you, leave your offering there before the altar, and go you first to atone to your brother, and then come and give your offering. Come to terms with your adversary quickly while you are with him on the way, lest Satan deliver you up to the judge, and the judge deliver you up to the officer, and you be cast into the jail. Amen, I tell you, you will not go out from there until you have paid the last penny. You have heard that it was said to them of old time, You shall not commit adultery. But I tell you that whoever sees a woman and covets her has already committed adultery with her in his heart. And if your right eye offends you, pluck it out and cast it from you. For it is better for you that one of your members should perish, than that the whole body should be cast into Gehenna. And if your right hand offend you, cut it off and cast it from you. For it is better for you that one of your members should perish, than that your whole body should be cast into Gehenna. It was also said concerning him that would put away his wife, that he should write her a bill of divorcement, and give it to her, and send her away from his house. But I tell you that whoever shall put away his wife, except for the cause of fornication, commits adultery with her, and whoever takes her that is cast off commits adultery. Again, you have heard that it was said to them of old time, You shall not forswear yourself, but shall pay to Yahuwah your vow. But I tell you, you shall not swear by a confirming word, not by heaven, for it is Elohim's throne, and not by the earth, for it is the footstool of his feet, and not by Jerusalem, for it is the city of the great King. And you shall not swear by your head, in that you have no power to whiten one hair, or turn it black again. But let your words be yes, yes, no, no. For whatever is more than these words is of evil. You have heard what was said, an eye for an eye, and a tooth for a tooth. But I tell you that you not withstand evil, but if one would smite you on the right cheek, turn unto him the other. And whoever wishes to contend you in judgment, and wishes to take from you your coat, leave him the cloak also. And he that impresses you for a mile, go with him even 2. And whoever asks of you, give to him, and from him that would borrow of you, turn not you away. You have heard that it was said, You shall love your neighbor, and hate your enemy. But I tell you, love your enemies, do good to them that hate you, and pray for them which persecute you, and despitefully use you, in order that you may become the sons of your Father which is in heaven, who makes his sun to rise on the good and on the evil, and sends rain on the righteous and on the wicked. For if you love only them which love you, what reward have you? Do not even the transgressors do this? And if you ask after the shalom of your brothers only, what do you exceed? Do not even the goyim do this? You therefore be wholehearted, like your Father which is in heaven, who is wholehearted. Chapter 6. See that you not bestow your tzaddikim before men, so that they may see you, for then you have no reward on the part of your Father which is in heaven. Therefore, when you give tzedakah, do not blow a shofar before you like the hypocrites do in the synagogues and in the streets, in order that men may honor them. Amen, I tell you that they have already received their reward. But you, when you give tzedakah, your left hand shall not know what your right hand does, that your tzedakah may be in secret, and your Father which sees in secret will himself recompense you publicly. And be not like the hypocrites when you pray, for they delight to stand in the assemblies and at the corners of the streets to pray, that men may see them. Truly I tell you that they already have received their reward. But you, when you pray, enter into your chamber, and shut the door, and pray to your Father which is in secret, and your Father which sees in secret will recompense you publicly. And you, when you pray, multiply not your words like the goyim do, who think that in an abundance of words they will be heard. But you do not be like them, for your Father knows what is needed for you before you ask him. And you, this way will you pray. Our Father which is in heaven, your name be set apart, your kingdom come, your will be done, as in heaven, so on earth. Give us today our continual bread, and forgive us our debts, like we release our debtors. And let us not come into temptation, but deliver us from all evil. For yours is the kingdom, and the might, and the honor forever and ever and ever. Amen. For if you forgive men their sins, your Father which is in heaven will also forgive you your sins. But if you forgive not men, neither will he forgive you your sins. And you, when you fast, do not be like the hypocrites, for they begrime and disfigure their faces, that they may appear in the sight of men to fast. Amen, I tell you that they already have their reward. But you, when you fast, anoint your head and wash your face, that you appear not to men to fast, but to your Father which is in secret, who will recompense you publicly. Lay not up for yourselves stores upon earth, where caterpillar and moth devour, and where thieves break through and steal. But lay up for yourselves stores in heaven, where caterpillar and moth waste not, and where thieves do not steal. For just where your store is, there your heart will be also. The lamp of your body is your eye. If therefore your eye is sound, your whole body will be in great light. But if your eye is bad, your whole body shall be gloomy. If therefore the light that is in you is darkness, how great is that darkness? No man can serve two masters, for either he will hate the one and love the other, or else he will love the one and hate the other. You cannot serve Elohim and Mammon. And therefore I tell you, be not anxious for your nephesh, in what you will eat or in what you will drink, or for your bodies with what you will be clothed. Is not the nephesh more than food, and the body more than garment? See the birds of the heavens, for they sow not, neither do they reap, nor gather into their granaries, yet your Father which is in heaven feeds them. Are you not much better than they? And which of you by taking thought can add even a single cubit unto his stature? Why then are you anxious about garments? Consider the lilies of the field, how they grow, yet they toil not, neither do they spin. Of a truth I tell you that not even Shlomo in all his glory was so arrayed like one of them. Therefore if Elohim so clothes the herb of the field, which today is, and tomorrow is cast into the oven, how much more so you of little trust? Therefore be not anxious, saying, what will we eat, or what will we drink, or what will we wear? For after all these things do goyim seek. For your Father which is in heaven knows that you have need of all things. Therefore you seek at first the dominion of Elohim, and all his righteousness, and all things will be added unto you. And be not anxious for tomorrow will be anxious for itself. Sufficient to today is the evil thereof. Chapter 7. Judge not, and you will not be judged. Condemn not, and you will not be condemned. For with what judgment you judge, you will be judged, and with what measure you mete, it will be measured to you again. And how do you see the splinter in your brother's eye, but see not the beam that is in your own eye? And how do you say to your brother, suffer it now, brothers, so that I may pull out the splinter out of your eye, and behold, a beam is in your own eye? You hypocrite, pull out at the first the beam from your own eye, and then you will be able to see to pull out the splinter out of your brother's eye. Do not hang earrings on dogs, neither cast you pearls before swine, lest they trample them with their feet, and the dogs turn again and rend them. Ask and it will be given to you, seek and you will find, knock and it will be opened to you. For everyone that asks receives, and he that seeks finds, and to him that knocks it will be opened. And which of you whose son will ask of him bread, his father will deliver to him a stone? Or whose son will ask him for a fish, his father will put in his hand a serpent? If you then, being evil, know how to seek to give good gifts to your children, how much more so your Father which is in heaven, which gives good gifts to them that seek him and ask him. Therefore whatever you would that men should do to you, do you even so to them. For this is the Torah and the prophets. Enter you in by the narrow gate, for wide is the gate and wide the way that leads to destruction, and many there be that go there. How narrow is the gate and narrow the way which leads to life, and few there be that find it. Be warned of false prophets which come to you in sheep's garments, but beneath their garment they are as full of deceit as ravening wolves. But by their fruits you will recognize them. Are grape clusters gathered from thorns, or figs from thistles? Even so, every good tree yields good fruit, but every bad tree yields bad fruit. A good tree cannot yield bad fruit, neither can a bad tree yield good fruit. But indeed, every tree that yields not good fruit is cut down and cast into the fire. And you, by their fruit, you will know them. Not everyone that says to me, Adonai, Adonai, will enter into the kingdom of heaven, but he that does the will of my Father which is in heaven, the same will enter with me into the kingdom of heaven. Many will say to me in that day, Adonai, Adonai, did we not eat and drink in your name? And have we not prophesied in your name? And in your name have cast out Shadim? And in your name done many powerful works? And then will I profess to them that I know them not. Depart from me, all you workers of Torahlessness. Whoever hears these my words and does them is comparable to a wise man which built his house upon a rock. And the rain descended, and the floods came, and the winds blew, and beat upon that house. It fell not, for it was based upon the rock. And whoever hears these my words and does them not is comparable to a foolish man which built his house upon the sand. And the rain descended, and the floods came, and the winds blew upon it, and beat upon the house. It fell, and great was the fall of it. And it came to pass that when Yeshua had ended these words, the crowds were amazed at his teachings. And he was teaching as one having ability of his own, and not from the mouth of the scribes or the Perushim. Chapter 8. Then Yeshua had come down from the mountain. Many people followed him, and behold, there came one man, a leper, and paid homage to him, saying, If you desire, you can make me clean. Then Yeshua put out his hand and touched him, and said, I do desire, be you clean. And immediately he was cleansed from his leprosy. And Yeshua said to him, Why do you tell a man? But go your way, and show yourself to the Kohen, and bring to him your offering, as Moshe commanded them for a testimony. And when Yeshua had entered Capharnaum, there drew near to him a centurion, and beseeched him, saying, My master, my son lies in the house, and he is paralytic and greatly afflicted. And Yeshua said to him, I will come and heal him. But the centurion answered and said, My master, I am not ready that you should come under my roof, but only speak a word, and my son will be healed. For even I am placed under the authority of another man, and I have authority, and under me are valiant men. And if I say to this one, Go, then he goes, and to another, Come, then he comes, and to my servant, Do this, then he does it. Now when Yeshua heard, he was amazed, and told them that followed him, Amen, I tell you, I have not heard such trust as this in Israel. And I tell you that many will come from the east and from the west, and will recline with Abraham, Yitzhak, and Yaakov in the kingdom of heaven. But the children of the kingdom will be cast into the darkness outside, and there will be crying and gnashing of teeth. And Yeshua said to the centurion, Go your way, and as you have believed, be it to you. And the boy was healed the same hour. And when Yeshua had come into Caiaphas' house, he saw his mother-in-law lying in a continual burning fever. And he touched her hand, and burning fever left her. And she arose and served them. And when it was evening, they brought to him many that were possessed by Shadim. And he, by his word alone, cast out from them the spirits, and healed them that were in evil state, and to establish what was spoken by Yeshayahu the prophet, who said, He took our diseases and our pains he carried. Now when Yeshua saw great crowds surrounding him, he commanded his Talmudim to go to the other side of the sea. Then one of the scribes approached and said to him, Rabbi, I will follow you wherever you go. And Yeshua said to him, Foxes have holes, and the birds of the heavens nests, but the Son of Man has not a floor where he may lay his head. And one of his Talmudim said to him, Give me leave until I bury my father. But Yeshua answered him, Come after me, and leave the dead to bury the dead. And he went up into the ship, and his Talmudim came after him. And behold, there was a great storm at sea, and the ship was covered with the waves, but he himself was asleep. And his Talmudim drew near to him, and awoke him, saying, My master, save us, lest we perish. Then Yeshua said to them, Why are you afraid, O little of trust? Then he arose and commanded the winds and the sea, and there was a great calm. But the men were amazed and said, Who is this, that the winds and the sea hearken to him? After this Yeshua came to the other side of the sea, into the country of the Gadara, and there came to meet him two possessed of Shadim, coming out of the tombs, and they were exceedingly fierce, so that because of them no man could pass that way. And behold, they cried out, saying, What have we to do with you, Yeshua, you the Son of Elohim? Why have you come here to afflict us before the set time? Now nearby was a herd of many pigs feeding, and the Shadim beseeched him, saying, If you cast us out from here, send us away into the herd of pigs. And behold, the whole herd went with rush, and with great commotion, and precipitated themselves into the sea, and perished. Then the herdsmen fled, and came into the city, and told all these things, and also concerning those in whom were the Shadim. And behold, the whole city came out to meet Yeshua, and when they saw him, they beseeched him that he would pass out of their coasts. Chapter 9. And Yeshua went up into the ship, and departed from the other side of the sea, and came into his own city. And behold, they brought to him a man stricken with paralysis, lying on a bed. And when Yeshua saw their trust, he said to the paralytic, Have trust, my son, for your sins are forgiven you. And behold, the scribes said among themselves, Behold, he is a blasphemer. And when Yeshua perceived their thoughts, he said, Why think you evil in your hearts? For which is easier to say, Your sins are forgiven you, or say, Arise and walk? But that you may know that a son of Adam has authority on earth to forgive sins, then said he to the paralytic, Arise and take up your bed and walk into your house. And he arose and walked into his house. And when the crowds saw it thus, they were afraid, and gave honor to Elohim, which had given such power to the son of Adam. And as Yeshua departed there, he saw one man sitting in the custom house, whose name was Madiyahu. And he said to him, Follow me. And it came to pass, as they sat down to eat in the house, behold, many transgressors and sinners came in, and ate with Yeshua and his Talmudim. And the Perushim, seeing, they said to his Talmudim, Why does your teacher eat with transgressors and sinners? But when Yeshua heard, he answered, saying, There is no need of a physician to heal the healthy, but to heal them that are sick. Therefore go you and learn what is written. I desire mercy and not sacrifice, for I have not come to call the righteous, but the sinners. Then approached him the Talmudim of Yochanan, saying, Why do we and the Perushim fast often, but your Talmudim fast not? And Yeshua said unto them, Can the sons of the bridegroom cry, as long as they have the bridegroom with them? But the days will come when the bridegroom will be taken from them, and then they will fast. There is no one who would put a patch of worthless cloth upon an old robe, for he takes away its completeness from the robe, and his tear is made worse than before. Neither do they put new wine into worn-out wineskins, for the wineskins would be split and the wine spilled. But new wine they put into new wineskins, and both are preserved. And while he was speaking these words to them, behold, one ruler of their synagogue drew near and paid homage, saying, My master, my daughter is but recently dead, but you come and lay your hand upon her, and she will live. And Yeshua arose and followed him with his Talmudim. And behold, a woman which had an issue of blood 12 years approached behind him and touched his tzitzit and his garment. For she said within herself, If I touch his garment only, I will be delivered. But Yeshua turned, and when he saw her, he said, Have trust, my daughter, for your trust has delivered you. And the woman was delivered the same hour. And when Yeshua had obtained entry to the ruler's house, and saw the pipers and the dirge makers of the people, he said, Withdraw, for the girl is not dead, but sleeps. And they ridiculed him. But when the multitude was put out, he obtained entry and took her by the hand and said, Arise, arise. And the girl arose. And this report went out to all that land. And when Yeshua passed over from there, there followed him 2 blind men, crying and saying, Take pity on us, O Son of David. And when he had come into the house, the blind men drew near to him. And Yeshua said to them, Believe you that I am able to do this for you? And they said to him, Yes, I believe, my master. Then touched he their eyes, saying, According to your trust be it done to you. And their eyes were opened, and Yeshua straitly charged them, saying, See that no man knows this. But they, when they went out, publicized the report of him in all that land. And as they went out, behold, they brought to him a man mute and possessed by a shad. But when the shad was cast out of him, he spoke and was no more mute. And the crowds were amazed, saying, It was never so seen in Israel. But the Perushim said, By the chief of the Shadim he casts out the Shadim. And Yeshua went about all the cities, teaching in their synagogues, and declaring the good news of the kingdom, and healing every sickness and every disease among the people. But when he saw the crowds, he took pity on them, because they were tired and powerless as sheep which have no shepherd. Then said he to his Talmudim, There is a plentiful harvest, but the workers are few. Beseech you therefore the master of the harvest, that he will send out the laborers to reap his harvest. Chapter 10. And when he had called out his 12 Talmudim, he gave them authority over unclean spirits to cast them out and to heal every sickness and disease. Now the names of the 12 emissaries are these: the first, Shimon, who is called Kepha, and Andrew his brother, Philip and Bartholomew, Yaakov ben Zebedee, and Yochanan his brother, Toma and Mattiyahu, who was a transgressor, and Yaakov bar Chalphe, and Paddai, Shimon the Zealot, and Yehuda from the shore of Skiriot, who delivered him up to death. And Yeshua sent out these 12, and commanded them, saying, Go you not in the way of the Goyim, and into the cities of the Samaritans enter you not, but go you to the lost sheep of the house of Israel. Go and cry, saying, turn you, for the kingdom of heaven is offered. Heal the sick, raise the dead, cleanse the lepers, and cast out the Shadim. For nothing you have received, for nothing you will give. Provide neither gold nor silver, nor lesser coin in your belts. Pack not for the journey either 2 coats or sandals, or a staff, for the laborer is worthy of his food. And into whatever city or town you will enter, inquire who in it is honorable, and there abide until you go out from there. And when you obtain entry into a house, ask after it Shalom, saying, Shalom be with this house. And if this house be honorable, it will return to you your Shalom. But any man who will not receive you nor listen to the sound of your words, go away outside of the house or city, and shake off even the dust from your feet. Amen, I tell you, it will be easier for the land of Sodom and Gomorrah in the day of doom than for that city. Behold, I send you out as sheep in the midst of wolves. Be you therefore as wise as serpents and simple as doves. Take care to yourselves of men, lest they deliver you up to the courts, and scourge you with whips in the assemblies, and you will be led unto officers and kings for my sake, for a testimony to them and the Goyim. But when they deliver you up, take no thought how or what you will say, for it will be put in your mouths in the hour what you will answer. For it is not you that will speak, but the Spirit of your Father will speak in you. And the brother will deliver up the brother to death, and the father the son, and the sons will rise up against their parents to cause them to be put to death. And all men will hate you on account of my name, but he that endures to the end, the same will be saved. But when they persecute you in one city, flee you to another. Truly I say to you, you will not have finished the house of Israel until the Son of Adam has come. There is no Talmud above the teacher, nor servant above his master, but enough for the Talmud that he be as his rabbi, and the servant as his master. If they have called the master of the house Baalzvuv, how much more the sons of the house? Fear them not, therefore, for there is nothing covered that will not be revealed, and hid that will not be known. What I tell you in the darkness, that speak you in the light, and what you hear in the ear, that cry you from the roofs. And fear not them which kill the body, but cannot kill the nephesh, but fear you him which can destroy both nephesh and body in Geyhinnom. Are not 2 sparrows sold for the smallest coin, and one of them will not fall on the ground without your Father? But the very locks of your hair are all numbered. Fear you not, therefore, for you are better than many sparrows. Whoever therefore will confess me before men, him I will confess also before my Father which is in heaven. But whoever will deny me before men, him I will also deny before my Father which is in heaven. Think not that I have come to send shalom on the earth. I have not come to send shalom, but the sword. For I have come to separate a man from his father, and the daughter from her mother, and the daughter-in-law from her mother-in-law. And a man's enemies will be the men of his own house. And whoever loves his father and his mother more than me is not worthy of me. and whoever loves son or daughter more than me is not worthy to be with me in the kingdom of heaven. And whoever takes not his gallows and follows me, the same is not worthy of me. Whoever finds his nephesh will lose it, and he that loses his nephesh for my sake will find it. Whoever receives you, the same receives me, and he that receives me, the same receives him that sent me. Whoever receives the prophet in the name of a prophet, the same receives a prophet's reward. And whoever receives the righteous man in the name of a righteous man, the same receives a righteous man's reward. And he that gives to drink to one of these little ones, even a single cup of cold water, in the name of a Talmud, amen, I tell you, he will in no wise lose his reward. Chapter 11. It came to pass, when Yeshua had finished commanding his 12 Talmudim, he passed over from there to teach and to proclaim in their cities. Now Yochanan, when he heard in the prison the deeds of the Messiah, sent 2 of his Talmudim, and said to him, Are you he that is destined to come, or do we wait another? And Yeshua answered and said to them, Go you and tell Yochanan what you have heard and seen. The blind see, the lame walk, the lepers are cleansed, the deaf hear, and the dead are raised, the poor are made happy, and happy is he that is not offended in me. And after these were departed, Yeshua began to speak in the crowds concerning Yochanan. What went you out into the wilderness to see? Was it a reed shaken in the wind? But what went you out to see? Was it a man clothed in soft garments? Behold, they that are clothed in soft garments are in kings' houses. Only what went you out to see? The prophet? Yes, I say to you, he was more than a prophet. He it is concerning whom it was written, Behold, I send my messenger, and he will clear the way before me. Amen, I say, among them that are born of women, there has not arisen a one greater than Yochanan the immerser. Nevertheless, he that is least in the kingdom of heaven is greater than he. Only from the days of Yochanan the immerser until now, the kingdom of heaven is constricted, and the forceful plunder it. For all the prophets and the Torah prophesied concerning Yochanan. And if you will receive it, this is Eliyahu who comes. Whoever has ears to hear, let him hear. To what shall I compare this generation? It is compared to boys which sit in the market, who call to their companions and say, We have played happily to you, and you have not danced. We have played sadly, and you have not lamented. For Yochanan came neither eating nor drinking, and they say he is possessed by a shad. The son of Adam came both eating and drinking, and they say, Behold, the man is a glutton and a drunk, and a friend of transgressors and sinners, but wisdom is justified by her children. Then began he to rebuke the cities in which he showed many of his mighty works, because they turned not from their evil deeds. Woe to you, Chorazin! Woe to you, Bethsaida! For if the mighty works were done in Zor and Zidon, which were done in you, they would have turned from the evil long ago in sackcloth and ashes. Surely I say to you, that it shall be easier for Zor and Zidon in the day of judgment than for you. And you, Capharnaum, are you not exalted to the heavens? To Sheol will you be brought down. For if the mighty works were done in Sidon, which were done in you, perhaps it would have remained until this day. Of a truth I tell you that it will be easier for the land of Sodom and the day of doom than for you. At that time Yeshua answered and said, I give thanks to you, O Father, Adon of heaven and earth, which has concealed these things from the wise and prudent, and has revealed them to the lightly esteemed. Yes, O Father, for so was your will before you. All has been given me by the Father, and no man knows the Son but the Father, neither knows anyone the Father except the Son, and to whoever the Son wills to reveal him. Come to me, all you that labor and are heavy laden, and I will satisfy you. Take my yoke upon you, and learn of me, for I am meek and downcast in spirit, and you will find rest for your nephesh. Chapter 12. At that time Yeshua went through the grain on the Sabbath, and his talmidim were hungry, and began to pluck the ears from the stalks and to eat. But the Perushim, seeing, said, Behold, your talmidim do that which is not right to do on the Sabbath. But he said to them, Have you not read what David did when he was hungry, both he and they that were with him? For he entered into the house of Elohim, and did eat the showbread, which was not lawful for him to eat them, neither for them which were with him, but only for the Kohanim. Have you not read in the Torah that the Kohanim profane the Sabbath in the temple and are blameless? But I tell you that here is greater than the temple. But if you had known what it means, for I desire mercy and not sacrifice, you would not have condemned the guiltless. For the Son of Man is Adonai, even of the Sabbath. And when he had passed over from there, he entered into their synagogue, and behold, a man which had his hand withered. And they asked him, saying, Is it lawful on the Sabbath to heal the sick? And all this was that they might accuse him before the Bet Din. And he said to them, What man among you, having one sheep that shall fall into a pit on the Sabbath, will not lay hold on it and lift it out? And is not a man better than a sheep? Therefore it is lawful to do good on the Sabbath. Then said he to the man, Stretch out your hand. And he stretched it out, and it was restored to health like as the other. Then the Perushim went out and took counsel against him, how they might destroy him. But when Yeshua knew, he withdrew from there, and many multitudes followed him, and he healed them all, and commanded them that they should not make him known, in order that it might be established which was spoken by Yeshayahu the prophet, who said, Behold my servant, whom I uphold, my chosen, in whom my nephesh delights. I have put my spirit upon him. He will make righteousness to go out to the goyim. He will not cry, nor lift up, nor cause his voice to be heard in the street. A bruised reed will he not break, and the dimly burning wick will he not quench. He will make the right go out according to the truth. He will not fail nor be discouraged until he has set right in the earth, and the isles shall wait for his Torah. Then was brought to him one possessed by a shad, blind and mute, and he healed him, so that he was both to speak and to see. And all the crowds were amazed and said, Is he not the son of David? But when the Perushim heard, they said, He does not cast out the Shadim, but by Baalzvuv, the chief of the Shadim. And when Yeshua knew their thoughts, he said to them, Every kingdom divided against itself is brought to desolation, and every city or house divided against itself will not stand. And if Satan casts out Satan, he is divided against himself, and how then will his kingdom stand? And if I, by Baal, cast out the Shadim, by whom do your sons cast out? Therefore they will be your judges. But because I am casting out the Shadim by the Spirit of Elohim, then the kingdom of Elohim has come to you. And how can a man enter into the strong man's house to plunder his goods, except he first bind the strong man, and then he will plunder his house. Whoever is not with me, the same is against me, and whoever gathers not with me, the same scatters. And therefore I tell you, every sin and blasphemy will be forgiven the sons of men, but the blasphemy which is against the Spirit will not be forgiven. And every man that says a word against a son of man, it will be forgiven him. But he that says a word against the Ruach HaKodesh, it will not be forgiven him, neither in this world or in the world to come. Either make the tree good and its fruit good, or make the tree bad and its fruit bad, for the tree is known by its fruit. Generation of vipers, how can you speak good things, being yourselves evil? For out of the abundance of the heart the mouth speaks. The good man brings forth good things out of his good store, but the evil man brings forth evil things out of his evil store. And I tell you that every idle word that men shall speak, they will render an account thereof in the day of judgment. For by your words you will be justified, and by your words you will be condemned. Then certain of the scribes and the Perushim answered him, saying, Rabbanu, we wish to see a sign from you. But he answered and said to them, An evil and adulterous generation seeks a sign, but no sign will be given it, except the sign of Jonah the prophet. For as Jonah was 3 days and 3 nights in the fish's belly, so will the Son of Adam be 3 days and 3 nights in the heart of the earth. And the men of Nineveh will arise in the judgment with this generation, and will condemn it, because they repented at the proclaiming of Jonah, and behold, a one greater than Jonah is here. The queen of the south will arise in the judgment with this generation, and will condemn it, for she came from the farthest parts of the earth to hear the wisdom of Shlomo, and behold, a one greater than Shlomo is here. When the unclean spirit is gone out of a man, it goes through dry places seeking rest, but finds none. Then it says, I will return to my house from which I came out, and it comes and finds it empty, and cleaned out with shovels and adorned. Then it goes and takes 7 other spirits, more wicked than itself, and they enter in and dwell there, so that the latter end of that man is worse than the beginning. Even so will it be to this wicked generation. And as he continued to speak to the crowds, behold, his mother and his brothers stood outside, and sought to speak with him. Then one said to him, Behold, your mother and your brothers stand outside, and are seeking you. But he answered him that told him this, and said, Which is my mother, and who are my brothers? And he stretched out his hand toward his talmudine, and said, Behold, my mother and my brothers. Every man that does the will of my Father, which is in heaven, they are my brothers, my sisters, and my mother. Chapter 13. The same day Yeshua went out of the house and sat by the seaside, and great crowds crowded him, so that he went up into the ship and sat, and all the people stood on the seashore. And he spoke much to them in parables, and said, Behold, the sower went out to sow his seed, and as he sowed, some of them fell by the wayside, and the birds of the heavens came and ate them up. And others fell upon the rock, where there was not much earth, and outside they sprouted, because they had no depth in the earth. And when the sun was risen, they were withered, and because they had no root, they withered away. And others fell among the thorns, and the thorns grew up and choked them. But others fell into good ground and brought forth fruit, one 100 times, and another 60, and another 30 times. Whoever has ears to hear, let him hear. And his talmudine came near to him and said to him, My master, why speak you with us in parables? And he answered and said to them, Because it is given to you to understand the secrets of the kingdom of heaven, but to these it is not given. Now whoever has, to him shall be given, and he will abound. But whoever has not, even what he has, will be taken from him. And therefore I am speaking to you in parables, who seeing will not see, and hearing will not hear, neither will they understand, to establish in them the prophecy of Yeshayahu, he who said, Hear you indeed, but understand not, and see you indeed, but perceive not. Make the heart of this people fat, and make their ears heavy, and shut their eyes, lest they, seeing with their eyes, and hearing with their ears, and understanding with their heart, return and be healed. But happy are your eyes, for they see, and your ears, for they hear. Truly I say to you that many prophets and righteous men have desired to see what you are seeing, but have not seen, and to hear what you are hearing, but have not heard. Hear you therefore the parable of the seed. Whoever hears the word of the kingdom, and understands not, the evil one comes and plucks out that which was sown in his heart. And this is that which was sown by the wayside. But as for that which was sown on the rock, this is he that hears the word, and immediately with joy receives it, but is comparable to the seed which has not root. For he endures but for an hour, and when tribulation or persecution arises, he is immediately offended. And as for that which was sown among the thorns, the same is he that hears the word of Elohim, but the care of this world, and the lust for the false Mammon, choke the word, and becomes unfruitful. But as for that which was sown on the good ground, the same is he that hears the word, and understands, and brings forth fruit, and one produces 100 times, and another 60, and another 30 times. Yet another parable put he forth to them, saying, The kingdom of heaven is comparable to a man which sowed good seed in his field. But while men slept, his enemy came and sowed tares among the wheat, and went his way. But when the blade grew up, and produced the fruit, then appeared there the tares also. So the servants of the householder came near, and said to him, My master, did not you sow good seed in your field? From where then came the tares into it? And he said to them, A man that is an enemy has done this. Then the servants said to him, Will you that we go and gather them up? But he said, No, lest while you gather up the tares, you root up also the wheat with them. Let both grow together until the harvest, and at harvest time I will say to the reapers, Gather first the tares, and bind them in bundles for burning, but gather the wheat into the floor. Still another parable put he forth to them, saying, The kingdom of heaven is comparable to a grain of mustard seed, which a man took and sowed it in his field, which indeed is least of all seeds. For when it is grown, it becomes the greatest of herbs, and becomes a tree, so that the birds of the heavens come and nest in the branches thereof. And he spoke to them another parable. The kingdom of heaven is comparable to leaven, which a woman took and hid in 3 measures of meal, until the whole should be leavened. All these are sayings of Yeshua in parables to the crowds, and without parables spoke he not to them, to fulfill the utterance of the prophet who said, I will open my mouth with a parable, I will utter dark sayings concerning days of old. Then he sent the crowds away, and entered into the house, and his Talmudim approached him, saying, Explain to us the parable of the tares of the field. Then he answered and said, He that sowed the good seed is the son of Adam, and the field is the world, and the good seed, they are the sons of the kingdom, but the tares, they are the sons of Belial. And the enemy that sowed them is Satan, and the harvest is the end of the world, and the reapers, they are the angels. And just as the tares were gathered up and burned in the fire, so will it be in the end of the world. For the Son of Adam will send out his angels, and they will gather out of his kingdom all offenses and them which do Torahlessness, and will cast them into the furnace of fire, where there will be weeping and gnashing of teeth. Then will the righteous shine out as the sun in the kingdom of their Father. Whoever has ears to hear, let him hear. The kingdom of heaven is comparable to treasure hid in a field, which if a man finds, he hides, and out of his joy he goes and sells all that he has, and buys that field. Again, the kingdom of heaven is comparable to a man that is a merchant seeking good pearls, who when he had found one precious pearl, went and sold all that he had and bought it. Again, the kingdom of heaven is comparable to a dragnet that was cast into the sea, and gathered of every kind of fish, which they, drawing forth, when it was full, and sitting down on the seashore, chose the good fish as being good, but the bad they cast away. So will it be in the end of the world, for the angels will go out and separate the wicked from among the righteous, and will cast them into the furnace of fire, where there will be weeping and gnashing of teeth. Have you understood these things? And they said to him, Yes. He said to them, Therefore every scribe taught in the kingdom of heaven is comparable to a man that is a householder, which brings forth out his store, new and old. And it came to pass, when Yeshua had finished speaking these parables, he passed over from there. And when he had come into his native land, he taught them in their synagogues. And they were amazed, saying, Where has he this wisdom and might? Is he not the smith's son? Is not his mother called Miriam, and his brothers Yaakov and Joseph, and Shimon and Yehudah? And are not his sisters all with us? Where then has he all these things? And they were offended in him. But Yeshua said to them, There is no prophet without honor except in his native place and in his own house. And he did not many mighty works there because of their lack of trust. Chapter 14. At that time Herod the Tetrarch heard the report concerning Yeshua, and said to his servants, This is Yochanan the Immerser. He is risen from the dead, and therefore the powers are worked by him. For Herod had laid hold on Yochanan, and bound him and put him in prison from before Herodias, his brother's wife. For she said to him, Yochanan is not worthy to be with you. And he wished to kill him, but he feared the people, for he was a prophet in their eyes. Now on Herod's birthday the daughter of Herodias danced in the midst, and she won approval in the eyes of Herod. And he swore to her with an oath to give her whatever she would ask of him. And she, being instructed by her mother, said, Give me here in a dish the head of Yochanan the Immerser. And it grieved the king, but on account of the oath, and on account of them which sat together with him at the table, he commanded it to be given her. And he sent and cut off the head of Yochanan, which was in the prison, that his head might be brought in a dish, and that they might give it to the girl. And they did so, and it was given to the girl, and she brought it to her mother. Then his Talmudin approached and removed his body and buried it. And his Talmudin came and told Yeshua. And when he heard it, he escaped from there into a wilderness place alone. Now when the crowds heard, they followed him on foot out of their cities. And he went forth, and he saw many people, and took pity on them, and healed their sick. And when evening had come, his Talmudin came near to him, saying, This place is desolate, and the hour has already passed. Take leave of the crowds, therefore, that they may go into the villages and buy themselves food. But Yeshua said to them, There is no need for them to go. Give you them to eat. And they answered him, We have here but 5 loaves and 2 fishes. And he said to them, Bring them here to me. And he commanded the people to sit down to eat on the grass in the field. And he took the 5 loaves and the 2 fishes, and lifting up his eyes to heaven, he blessed and broke, and gave the loaves to his talmidim, and his talmidim gave to the crowds. And they did all eat, and were satisfied. And there were left over to them 12 baskets full of the crumbs. And the number of them that did eat was 5,000 men, besides the women and infants. And immediately Yeshua urged his talmidim to go up into a ship and go before him across the sea, while he took leave of the crowds. And when he had taken leave of the people, he went up alone into the mountain to pray. And it was evening, and he was there alone. Now the ship was tossed in the midst of the sea by the waves, for the wind was against them. And it came to pass in the 4th watch of the night that he came to them and walked upon the sea. And when they saw him walking upon the sea, they were terrified and said, It is a vicious spirit, and they cried out for fear. But right away Yeshua spoke to them, saying, Have trust, for it is I. Be not afraid. Then Kepha answered and said, My master, if it is you, bid me come to you over the water. And he said, Come. So Kepha descended from the ship and went over the water to come to Yeshua. But when he saw the boisterous wind, he was exceedingly afraid lest he should sink, and cried out, saying, My master, save me. And immediately Yeshua stretched out his hand and caught him, and said to him, O you little in trust, why did you doubt? And when they had gone up into the ship, immediately the wind subsided. And when they were in the ship, they came and paid homage to him, saying, In truth, you are the Son of Elohim. And they departed from over the sea, and came to the land of Gennesaret. And the men of that place, when they knew it, sent into all that land, and brought to him all that were in evil state, and beseeched him that he might touch the corner of his garment. And as many as touched were healed. Chapter 15. Then came near to him scribes and Perushim from Jerusalem, saying, Why do your talmidim transgress the decrees of the elders? For they clean not their hands when they eat bread. But he answered them and said, And why do you transgress the commandments of Elohim by means of your decrees? Is it not written in your Torah from the mouth of Elohim, Honor your father and your mother, and moreover written, And he that curses his father and his mother will surely die. But you say, Whoever says to father and mother, It is all an offering, whatever of mine might profit you, and he honors not his father and his mother. Thus have you made void the commandments of Elohim on account of your judgments. You hypocrites! Yeshayahu did well indeed to prophesy concerning you, saying, This people honors me with their mouth and with their lips, but have removed their heart far from me, and their fear of me is a commandment learned of men. Then he called the crowds to himself and said, Hear and know, what enters into the mouth defiles not the man, but what proceeds out of the mouth, that defiles the man. Then his talmidim approached him and said, Know you that the Perushim which heard this saying were annoyed? But Yeshua answered and said, Every plant which my Father which is in heaven has not planted will be uprooted. Leave them alone, for they are blind. And if the blind lead another blind, both of them will fall into the ditch. Then answered Kepha and said to him, Explain to us this parable. And Yeshua said, Are you also still without understanding? Do you not understand that whatever enters into the mouth enters into the belly, and is cast out in the latrine? But those things which come out of the mouth, they come from the heart, and they are those things which defile the man. For from the heart proceeds evil thoughts, murders, adulteries, fornications, thefts, lies, and blasphemies. These are those things which defile the man. But that a man should eat without washing his hands, that defiles not the man. Then Yeshua went out from there and entered into the parts of Zor and Zidon. And behold, a merchant woman came out of those coasts, and cried out and said to him, Take pity on me, O my master, you son of David, for my daughter is very afflicted by a shad. But Yeshua answered her not at all. And his Talmudim came near and beseeched him, saying, Send her away, for she cries after us. But he answered and said, I was not sent but to the lost sheep of the house of Israel. Then came she and prostrated herself to the ground to him, and said, My master, deliver me. But Yeshua answered and said, It is not good to take the children's bread, and to give it to the dogs. Then answered she and said, Truth certainly, my master, but the dogs even they eat of the crumbs which fall under their master's table. Then Yeshua answered and said to her, O woman, how great is your trust! Be it to you even as it is in your heart. And her daughter was healed the same hour. And Yeshua passed over from there, and came by the Sea of Galilee, and went up to a mountain and sat down there. And there came near to him great crowds, having with them mute, blind, lame, maimed, and many others, and laid them down at his feet, and he healed them. And the people were amazed when they saw the mute speaking, and the lame walking, and the blind seeing, and they glorified the Elohe of Israel. Then Yeshua called his Talmudim, and said to them, I have compassion for the people, because it is now 3 days that they dwell with me in the wilderness, and they have nothing that they may eat, and I will not let them go fasting, lest they faint by the way. And his Talmudim said to him, Where should we have bread enough in the wilderness to satisfy these people? And Yeshua said to them, How many cakes of bread have you? And they answered and said, 7, and a few fishes. Then he commanded the people to sit down on the ground. And he took the 7 cakes of bread and the fishes, and gave thanks, and broke, and gave to his Talmudim, and they gave to the people. And they did all eat, and were satisfied. And what was left over by the crowds, they took up 7 baskets full. And they that did eat were 4,000 men, besides the infants and women. And he took leave of the crowds, and went up into the ship, and came to the coast of Magdala. Chapter 16. And there approached him Perushim and Zadokим, tempting and asking that he would show a single sign from heaven. But he answered them and said to them, When it is evening, you say, It is destined to be fine by the heavens, for the heavens are reddish. And at daybreak it will be stormy, for the heavens are lowering in their reddishness. And behold, you know how to judge the face of the heavens, but you cannot discern the signs of the times. And evil and lewd stock seek a sign, and no sign will be given it, but the sign of Jonah the prophet. And he left them and went his way. And when his Talmudim had come to the other side of the sea, they had forgotten to take bread. And he said to them, See and beware of the leaven of the Perushim and Zadokim. And they reasoned among themselves, saying, Is it because we have carried no bread? And when Yeshua knew, he said, What are you thinking, O little trust, that it is because you have taken no bread? Do you not yet understand, neither remember, the 5 loaves to the 5,000 men, and how many baskets you took up? Neither the 7 loaves to the 4,000 men, and how many baskets you took up? And why then do you not understand that it was not concerning loaves that I spoke to you? Beware of the leaven of the Perushim and the Zadokim. Then they heard and understood that he said not to beware of the leaven of bread, but of the teaching of the Perushim and the Zadokim. And Yeshua came into the coasts of Caesarea Philippi, and he asked one and all of his Talmudim, saying, Who do the sons of men say that the son of Adam is? And they said, some that he is Yochanan the immerser, and some Eliyahu, and others Yirmiyahu, or another of the prophets. And Yeshua said to them, And you, who say you that I am? Then answered Shimon Kepha, saying, You are Messiah, the Son of the living Elohim. And Yeshua answered and said to him, Happy are you, Shimon ben Yonah, for this was not revealed to flesh and blood, but to you, when it was revealed to you by my Father which is in heaven. And I tell you that you are Kepha, and upon this rock I will build my assembly, and the gates of Takhti will not prevail against you. And to you will I give the keys of the kingdom of heaven, and whatever you will prohibit on earth has been prohibited in heaven, and whatever you will permit on earth has been permitted in heaven. Then commanded he his Talmudim that they should tell no man that he, Yeshua, was the Messiah. And then began Yeshua to make known to his Talmudim that he must go to Jerusalem and to suffer there many scourgings and many mockings of the elders and scribes of the chief Kohanim, and to be killed and to rise again the third day. Then Kepha took him and began to rebuke him, saying, Far be it from you, my master, all this will not be unto you. But he turned and said to Kepha, Follow me. Satan, you are an offense to me, for you savor not the things that are of Elohim, but those that are of men. Then said Yeshua to his Talmudim, Whoever wishes to follow me, let him reject himself, and take up his gallows, and follow me. For whoever will desire to save his nephesh will lose it, and whoever will lose his nephesh, for my sake, the same will find it. For what will it profit a man if he gains the whole world, and in his own nephesh receive injury? Or what exchange will a man give for his nephesh? For the Son of Man will come in the glory of his Father with his angels, and then will he pay every man each according to his deeds. Truly I tell you, there are those standing here which will not taste death until they see the Son of Adam coming in his kingdom. Chapter 17. And after 6 days Yeshua took Kepha and Yaakov and Yochanan his brother, and brought them up to a high mountain apart. And the fashion of his face was altered before them, and his face did shine as the sun, and his raiment became white as the snow. And behold, there appeared to them Moshe and Eliyahu talking with him. Then answered Kepha and said to Yeshua, My master, it is good for us to be here. If you will, let us make here 3 tabernacles, for you one, for Moshe one, and for Eliyahu one. While still speaking, behold, a bright cloud overshadowed them, and behold, a bat coal out of the cloud said, This is my beloved Son, with whom I am well pleased. Hear you him. And when the Talmudim heard, they fell on their faces and were very afraid. But Yeshua approached and touched them and said to them, Arise and be not afraid. And when they had lifted up their eyes, they saw no one save Yeshua only. And as they came down from the mountain, Yeshua commanded them, saying, Tell no man the vision which you have seen, until the Son of Adam is raised from the dead. And the Talmudim asked him, saying, Why then say the scribes that Eliyahu must come first? And he answered and he said to them, Eliyahu will surely come and restore all things. And I tell you that Eliyahu has come already, and they knew him not, but have done to him whatever they chose. Likewise will the Son of Man receive and bear scourgings from them. Then the Talmudim heard and understood that he was speaking of the immerser Yochanan when he spoke to them. And when they had come to the crowd, there came near to him one man, and fell on his knees before him, saying, My master, have compassion on my son, for he is epileptic, and with this sickness he is very afflicted, for often he falls into the fire, and often he falls into the water. And I brought him to your Talmudim, but they could not cure him. Then Yeshua answered and said, O stubborn and perverse generation, how long will I be with you? How long will I suffer you? Bring him to me. And Yeshua rebuked him, and the shad went out of him, and the boy was cured the same hour. Then came near to him the Talmudim privately, and asked him, Why could not we cast him out? And he answered them and said, On account of your lack of trust. Truly I say to you, if you have trust as a grain of mustard seed, and shall tell this mountain, Pass away from here, it will immediately pass away, and the thing will not be withheld from you. But this kind is not cast out but by prayer and fasting. And as they were going into Galilee, Yeshua spoke to them and said, The Son of Adam will be betrayed into the hands of men, and they will kill him, and the third day he will rise again. And they were very grieved. And when they had come into Capharnaum, they that received the drachma came near to Caiaphas, and said to him, Does your rabbi pay the drachma? And he said, Certainly. And as he came to the house, Yeshua prevented him, saying, How seems it to you, Shimon, the kings of the earth, of whom do they receive tribute and custom, of their own children or of strangers? And he said, Of strangers. Then Yeshua said to him, If so, the children are free. But in order that we may not provoke them, go you to the sea, and cast the baited net, and take the fish that first comes up. And when you have opened its mouth, you will find a litra. That take, and give to them for me and you. Chapter 18. The same hour the Talmudim came near to Yeshua, saying, Who will be greatest in the kingdom of heaven? And Yeshua called one boy, and stood him in the midst of them, and said, Truly I say to you, unless you repent and become as children, you will not enter into the kingdom of heaven. And whoever therefore will humble himself as this boy, the same will be greatest in the kingdom of heaven. And whoever receives one such boy as this, in my name receives me. And whoever offends one of these little ones which believe in me, it is better for him that an upper millstone be hanged around his neck, and that he be cast into the depth of the sea. Woe to the world because of offenses! It must be that offenses come, but woe to that man by whom the offenses come. And if your hand or your foot offends you, cut it off and cast it from you. For it is better for you to enter into the life maimed or lame, rather than having both hands and both feet to be cast into eternal fire. And if your eye offends you, pluck it out and cast it from you. For it is better for you to enter into life with one eye, rather than having both eyes to be cast into the fire of Gehinnom. See that you despise not one of these little ones, for I say to you that their angels in heaven do continually see the face of my Father which is in heaven. For the Son of Man has come to save that which was lost. How seems it to you, if a man has 100 sheep, and one of them is lost, does not a man leave the 99 sheep on the mountain, and go to find that which was lost? And if so be that he finds it, truly I tell you that he rejoices over it more. Even so it is not the will of your Father which is in heaven, that one of these little ones should be lost. And if your brother sins against you, go and reprove him between you and him alone. And if he will hear you, you have won your brother. But if he will not hear you, take to yourself one witness or two, that at the mouth of 2 or 3 witnesses every word may be established. And if he will not hear them, speak to him in the assembly. But if he neglects to hear in the assembly, let him be to you as a goy or a transgressor. Truly I tell you, all that you will prohibit on earth has been prohibited in heaven also, and all that you will permit on earth has been permitted in heaven also. Again, I tell you, if two of you might be worthy on earth as touching a thing that they will ask, it will be for them of my Father which is in heaven. For in every place where 2 or 3 will assemble in my name, there am I in the midst of them. And Kepha called to him and said, My master, how many times will my brother sin against me, and I forgive him? Until 7 times? And Yeshua said to him, I say not to you until 7 times, but until 70 times 7. And therefore the kingdom of heaven is comparable to a man that is a king, who wished to make a reckoning with his servants. And when he had begun to make the reckoning, one was brought to him, which was due to render him 10,000 talents. And as he had not with which to pay, his master commanded that he be sold, and his wife and children, and all that he had, until full payment should be made of what was due him. Then that servant fell down and beseeched him, saying, Give me time, and I will pay you all. And the master had pity on his servant, and let him go, and forgave him his debt. But this servant went out, and found one of those who were servants like himself, and this one was due to render him 100 mias. And he seized him, and held him fast, saying, Pay what you are due to render me. Then that servant fell down and beseeched him, saying, Give me time, and I will pay you all. But he would not, and went and cast him into prison until he should pay all his debt. So when the other servants saw what was done, they were exceedingly grieved, and came and related to their master all that had happened. Then his master called to him and said to him, Servant of Belial, I forgave you all the debt, because you did beseech me. And should not you also have had pity on your fellow servant, even as I had pity on you? And his master's anger was kindled, and he delivered to him to prison until he should pay all his debt. So likewise will my Father which is in heaven do to you, if you from your hearts forgive not every man his brother their trespass. Chapter 19. And it came to pass that after Yeshua had finished speaking these sayings, he departed from Galilee, and came into the borders of Yehuda at the crossing of the Jordan. And great crowds followed him, and he healed them there. And the Perushim approached him, and tempted him, saying, Is it right for a man to put away his wife for every cause? And he answered and said to them, Have you not read that he who made man at the beginning made them male and female, and said, Therefore shall a man leave his father and his mother, and shall cleave to his wife, and they shall become one flesh. And now they are no more two, but one flesh only. What therefore Elohim has joined together, man cannot separate. But they said, And why did Moshe then command to give a bill of divorcement, and to put her away if she was not pleasing in his sight? And he answered them and said, Because Moshe, on account of the hardness of your hearts, allowed you to put away your wives, but from the beginning it was not so. And I tell you that every man that has put away, or shall put away his wife, except it be for fornication, and takes another, commits adultery, and whoever takes the divorced also commits adultery. And his Talmudim said to him, If the case of the man be so with his wife, it is not good to marry. But he said to them, All cannot accept this saying, but they to whom it is given. For there are faithful ones which were so born from their mother's womb, and there are faithful ones which were made of man, and there are faithful ones which are self-made faithful ones. For the kingdom of heaven's sake, whoever can accept, let him accept. Then were brought to him children that he should lay hands on them and pray. But his Talmudim rebuked them, and Yeshua said, Allow the children, and hinder them not from coming to me, for of such is the kingdom of heaven. And when he had laid hands on them, he departed there, And behold, one came near and said to him, Good Rabbi, and what good thing shall I do, that I may acquire the life of the world to come? And he said to him, Why ask you me concerning what is good? There is none good but one. There is a good, and that is El. And if you desire to enter into the life of the world to come, keep the commandments of El. And he said to him, And which? And Yeshua answered and said, You shall not murder, you shall not commit adultery, you shall not steal, you shall not bear false witness against your neighbor, honor your father and your mother, and you shall love your neighbor as yourself. But the young man said to him, All these things have I kept from my youth, and what lack I still? And Yeshua said to him, If you will be wholehearted, go sell all that you have, and give to the poor, and you will have great store in heaven, and come and follow me. But when the young man heard the sayings, he went away troubled, for he had great possessions. Then said Yeshua to his Talmudim, Truly I tell you that the rich will with difficulty enter into the kingdom of heaven. And again I tell you, it is easier to pass a large rope through the eye of the needle than to bring the rich into the kingdom of heaven. And when the Talmudim heard these sayings, they marveled exceedingly, saying, Who then can be saved? And Yeshua regarded them and said, On man's part this is impossible, but to Elohim all such things possible. Then answered Kepha and said to him, Here are we have left everything and followed you, and what will we have? And Yeshua said to them, Truly I tell you, that you which have followed me in the second birth, when the Son of Man sits on his glorious throne, you also will sit on 12 thrones, and judge the 12 tribes of Israel. And whoever leaves house, or brothers, or sisters, or father, or mother, or wife, or children, or lands on account of my name, will receive 100 times, and will inherit the sublime life. But many of the first will be last, and the last will be first. Chapter 20. The kingdom of heaven is comparable to a man that is a householder, who went out early in the morning to hire laborers to tend his vineyard. And when he had contracted with them at the rate of a coin for the whole day, he sent them into his vineyard. And he went out at the 3rd hour, and saw others standing idle in the marketplace, and said to them, Go you also into my vineyard, and whatever is right I will give you. And they went their way. Again he went out at the 6th hour and the 9th, and did likewise. And at the 11th hour he went out and found others standing, and said to them, Why stand you here all the day idle? And they said to him, No man has hired us. And he said to them, Go you also into my vineyard. And when it was evening, the master of the vineyard said to his overseer, Call the laborers and give them their wage, beginning from the first to the last. And when those came which came at the 11th hour, they received each man a coin. And when the first came, they thought that they should have received more than these, and they likewise received each man a coin. And when they had seen it, they murmured against the householder, saying, These last have labored but 1 hour, and you have put them on a level with us, which have borne the burden of the day and the heat. But he answered them and said, Brother, I do you no injury. Did you not contract with me for a coin? Take what is yours and go your way. And as to my will to give to this last, the same as to you, have I no right to do what I will in my own sight? Or is your eye bad because I am good? So the last will be first, and the first last. For many were called, but few were chosen. And as Yeshua went up to Jerusalem, he took his 12 Talmudim privately, and said to them, Behold, we are going to Jerusalem, and the son of Adam will be delivered up to the chief Kohanim and the scribes, and they will condemn him to death, and will deliver him over to the Goyim to be mocked and scourged and crucified, and the third day he will rise again. Then came near to him the mother of Zabdi's children with her sons, and worshipped him, and would ask of him. And he said to her, What wish you? And she said to him, Grant that these my 2 sons may sit, the one on your right hand, and the other on your left, in your kingdom. But Yeshua answered and said, You know not what you ask. Can you drink the cup that I will drink of, and be immersed in the immersion that I will be immersed in? They said to him, We can. Then he said to them, You will drink indeed of my cup, and will be immersed in the immersion that I will be immersed in. But to sit on my right hand or on my left is not mine to give you, but for whom it is prepared of my Father. And when the 10 heard, they were displeased with the 2 brothers. But Yeshua called them to himself, saying, And you know that the chiefs of the Goyim rule over them, and the great ones exercise authority among them. It shall not be so among you, but whoever among you wishes to be great, let him be your servant. And he among you that wishes to be first, let him be your servant. Even as the Son of Man came not to be served to, but to serve, and to give his nephesh a ransom for many. And as they went out from Jericho, a great crowd followed him. And behold, 2 blind men went out and sat by the wayside. And when they heard that Yeshua passed by, they cried out, saying, My Master, take pity on us, O Son of David. And the crowd rebuked them and told them to keep silence. But they cried out the more, saying, My Master, take pity on us, O Son of David. And Yeshua stopped and called to them, saying, What wish you that I do for you? And they said to him, My Master, that our eyes may be restored to sight. And Yeshua had pity on them, and touched their eyes, and immediately they saw, and followed him. Chapter 21. And when they came near to Jerusalem, and had come to Bethphage, to the Mount of Olives, they sent Yeshua to Talmudim, and said to them, Go to the enclosure which is before you, and right away you will find there an ass tied, and a foal by her side. Loose and bring them to me. And if any man say anything to you, you will say that my Master has need of them, and immediately he will let them go. And thus was to establish what was spoken by the prophet, who said, Say to the daughter of Zion, Behold, your king comes to you, poor and riding upon an ass, even upon a foal, the offspring of an ass. And the Talmudim went and did as Yeshua commanded them, and brought the ass and the foal, and they put upon them their garments, and mounted him thereon. And a great crowd spread their garments in the way, and others cut down leafy branches of trees, and carpeted the way. And the multitude that went before him and behind him cried, saying, Hosanna to the Son of David. Blessed is he that comes in the name of Yahuwah, Hosanna in the heights. And when he had come into Jerusalem, the whole city was seething, saying, Who is this? And the people said, It is Yeshua the prophet from Nazareth of Galilee. And Yeshua entered into the temple of Elohim, and cast outside all the vendors and buyers in the temple, and overturned the tables of the money changers, and the stalls of them that sold the doves, and said to them, It is written, For my house will be called a house of prayer, but you have made it a robber's den. And the blind and the lame drew near to him in the temple, and he healed them. And when the chief Kohanim and the scribes saw the wonders that he did, and the children cried in the temple, saying, Hosanna to the Son of David, they were displeased, and they said to him, Hear you not what these say? And Yeshua said to them, Have you not read that out of the mouths of babes and sucklings you have found strength? And he left them and went out of the city to Bethania, and lodged there. And as he returned in the morning to the city, he was hungry. And when he saw a fig tree by the wayside, he came to it, and found nothing thereon, but leaves only. And he said to it, let there not come forth of you fruit forever. And immediately the fig tree withered away. And when the Talmudim saw, they marveled, saying, How did it immediately wither away? And Yeshua answered and said to them, Truly I tell you, if you will have trust and doubt not, you will not do such things to a fig tree only, but if you will say to this mountain, Be you lifted up and cast into the sea, it will come to pass. And whatever you will ask in prayer and trust, you will receive. And when he had come to the temple, the chief Kohanim and the elders of the people approached him as he was teaching, saying, By what authority do you do these things? And who gave you this authority? And Yeshua answered and said to them, I also will ask you this thing, which if you tell me, I in like wise will tell you, by what means I do what I am doing. The immersion of Yochanan, of where was it, of heaven or of men? And they reasoned with themselves and said, If we shall say of heaven, he will say to us, Why did you not believe him? But if we shall say of men, we fear the crowd, for Yochanan was in the eyes of all a prophet. And they answered and said to Yeshua, We know not. And he also said to them, And neither tell I you, but by what means I do these things. But how seems it to you? There was a man which had 2 sons, and he approached the first and said, My son, go work today in my vineyard. But he answered and said, I will not do so. But after that he repented and went. And he approached the second and said likewise. And he answered and said, I will go, my master. But he went not. Which of these 2 did the Father's will? They answered him, the first. And Yeshua said to them, Truly I tell you, that the transgressors and the harlots go before you into the kingdom of Elohim. For Yochanan came to you in the way of righteousness, and you believed him not. But the transgressors and harlots believed him, and you, when you had seen, repented not after that to believe him. Hear you another parable. There was a man that was a householder, which planted a vineyard, and surrounded it with a hedge, and dug a winepress in it, and built a tower, and delivered it to vine dressers to cultivate it, and went abroad. And when the time of the fruit came near, he sent his servants to the vine dressers to receive the fruit. But the vine dressers seized his servants, and beat one, and slew another, and another they stoned. Again he sent other servants more than the first, and they did to them likewise. But at last he sent to them his son, saying, Perhaps they will honor my son. But the vine dressers, when they saw the son, said among themselves, This is the heir. Come, let us kill him, and his inheritance will be ours. And they seized him, and brought him outside the vineyard, and slew him. Think for yourselves, when the master of the vineyard has come, what will he do to these vine dressers? And they answered him and said, He will destroy the wicked vine dressers in their wickedness, and will hire out his vineyard to another, which will render him the fruit in its season. And Yeshua said to them, Have you not read in the scripture, The stone which the builders rejected has become the head of the corner? This is from Yehu. It is wonderful in our eyes. And therefore I tell you, the kingdom of Elohim will be taken away from you and given to people who will bring forth the fruits thereof. And whoever falls on this stone will be broken, but on whomever it falls, it will break him. And when the chief Kohanim and Perushim heard his parables, they knew that he spoke concerning them. But when they sought to seize him, they feared the crowds, for he was in their eyes a prophet. Chapter 22. And Yeshua answered and spoke to them again in parables, saying, The kingdom of heaven is comparable to a man that is a king, who made a marriage for his son, and sent his servants to call them that were invited to the marriage, but they would not come. Again he sent other servants, saying, Tell you them which are invited, Behold, I have prepared my banquet. My oxen and my geese are cooked, and all things are ready. Come you to the marriage. But these remained unresponsive and went their ways, one to his village, another to his merchandise, and the rest seized his servants, whom with violence they slew. But when the king heard, his anger was kindled, and he sent his hosts, and destroyed those murderers, and burned their city with fire. Then said he to his servants, The marriage indeed is ready, but they which were invited were not worthy. Go you therefore to the outgoing of the ways, and whomever you will find, call to the marriage. So his servants went out by the ways, and gathered together all whom they found, but bad and good, and the marriage was filled with them that sat at the table. And when the king came in to see them that were seated, he saw there a man not clothed with the marriage garment, and said to him, Friend, how came you in here, not having a marriage garment? And he was silent. Then said the king to his servants, Bind him hand and foot, and cast him into the darkness outside. There will be weeping and gnashing of teeth, for many were called, but few were chosen. Then went the Perusium, and took counsel together concerning this saying, and they sent to him their Talmudim with the servants of Herod, saying, Rabbi, we know that you are a sincere man, and teach the way of Elohim in truth, and are not influenced by any man, for you regard not the face of man. Tell us therefore, how seems it to you? Is it right to give tribute to Caesar or not? But Yeshua knew the evil in their hearts, and said to them, You hypocrites, why tempt you me? Show me a coin of the tribute. And they brought to him a coin. And he said to them, Whose is the likeness and this inscription? And they answered him, and they said, Caesar's. Then said he to them, Give therefore to Caesar what is Caesar's, and to Elohim the things that are Elohim's. And when they heard it, they were amazed, and left him, and withdrew. The same day the Zaddokim, which are those that say that there will not be a resurrection, came near to him, and asked him, saying, Rabbi, Moshe said, If a man dies and has no son, his brother shall take to himself to wife, the wife of the dead, that he may raise up seed to his brother. And he left his wife to his brother. Likewise the second and the third until the seventh, and after that the woman died also. In the resurrection, whose will she be? Because all the seven were her husbands. And Yeshua answered and said to them, You do err, not knowing the Scriptures nor the power of Elohim. For in the resurrection they marry not, neither are they betrothed, but are as the angels of Elohim in heaven. And concerning the resurrection of the dead, have you not read what was spoken by Elohim, who said to you, I am the Elohe of Abraham, I am the Elohe of Yitzhak, I am the Elohe of Yaakov, and he is not the Elohe of the dead, but Elohe of the living. And when the crowds heard, they were amazed concerning his teaching. But when the Perusium heard that he had silenced the Zaddokim, they took counsel together, and one of them, which was a doctor of the Torah, asked him and tested him, and said to him, Rabbi, which is the greatest commandment in the Torah? And Yeshua answered him and said, You shall love Yehu, your Elohim, with all your heart, and with all your nephesh, and with all your might. This is the greatest commandment in the whole Torah, and this is the first. But the second is like it, and you shall love your neighbor as yourself. On these two commandments hang all the Torah and the prophets. Now while the Perusiim were assembled, Yeshua asked them, saying, How seems it to you concerning the Messiah? Whose son is he? And they said to him, He is the son of David. But he said to them, How then spoke David by the Ruach HaKodesh, calling him my Adon, saying, Yehu, said to my Adon, Sit you on my right hand, until I make your enemies the footstool of your feet. If David then calls him my Adon, how is he his son? And they could not return him a word, neither did any man wish again to question him further from that day. Chapter 23. Then spoke Yeshua to the crowds and to his Talmudim, saying, On Moshe's seat sit the scribes and Perushim, and all that they say to you observe and do. But do not you according to their works, for they say, but do not. For they bind up heavy and non-portable burdens and put them on men's shoulders, but they will not stagger around with them themselves. And so all their works they do, that they may be seen by the sons of men. For they make broad the straps of their tefillah, and enlarge the corners of their mantles, and love the principal couches at the suppers, and the principal seats in the synagogues, and benedictions in the market, and to be called by men Rabbi. But you shall not be called Rabbi, for one is your Rabbi, and that is the Messiah, and all of you are brothers. Also be not you called Father upon the earth, for one is your Father which is in heaven. Neither be you called teachers, for one is your teacher, and that is Messiah. Whoever will be greatest among you, let him be your servant. For whoever exalts himself will be abased, and whoever is abased will be exalted. Woe to you, scribes and Perushim, hypocrites, who close the kingdom of heaven against the sons of men, for you enter not yourselves, neither do you allow them that are eager to enter. Woe to you, scribes and Perushim, hypocrites, who devour widows' houses in order to pray lengthy prayers, and therefore will receive a lengthy judgment. Woe to you, scribes and Perushim, hypocrites, who compass the sea and land in order to make one proselyte, and when he is made, you make him 2 times more a son of Gehenna than yourselves. Woe to you, blind guides, who say whoever swears by the temple is not obligated, but he that swears by the gold of the temple is obligated. Fools and blind, which is greater, the gold or the temple that sanctifies the gold? And whoever swears by the altar is not obligated, but he that swears by the gift that is upon it is obligated. O blind, which is greater, the gift or the altar that sanctifies the gift? He that swears by the altar swears by it, and by all things thereon. And he that swears by the temple swears by it, and by that which abides therein. And he that has sworn by heaven swears by the throne of Elohim, and by him that sits thereon. Woe to you, scribes and Perushim, hypocrites, who tithe mint and rue and cumin, and have neglected those things which are weightiest in the Torah, judgment, loving kindness, and trust. Those things ought you to have done, neither to have rejected these. Blind guides, who strain out a gnat and swallow the camel. Woe to you, scribes and Perushim, hypocrites, which clean the outside of the cup and the dish, but within they are full of extortion and uncleanness. Blind Perush, clean first that which is within the cup and dish, that the outside may be clean also. Woe to you, scribes and Perushim, hypocrites, for you are like whitened sepulchres, which appear outwardly fair to the sons of men, but within are full of the bones of the dead and all uncleanness. And so you also seem outwardly righteous to the sons of men, but within you are full of depravity and violence. Woe to you, scribes and Perushim, hypocrites, which build the sepulchres of the prophets, and adorn the sepulchres of the righteous, and say, If we had been in the days of our fathers, we would not have been their accomplices in the blood of the prophets. Therefore you are witnesses to yourself, that you have come by them which slew the prophets, and their children you are. Fill you up then the measure of your fathers, serpents and generation of vipers. How will you escape the judgment of Gehenna? Therefore I tell you, Behold, I send to you prophets and the wise men and the scribes, and some of them you will kill and crucify, and some of them you will scourge with whips in your synagogues, and persecute from city to city, that upon you may come all the righteous blood which has been shed upon the earth, from Hevel the righteous to Zachariah ben Berechiah, whom you slew between the temple and the altar. Truly I tell you that all these things will come upon this generation. Jerusalem, Jerusalem, which kills the prophets and stones them which are sent to you, how many times would I have gathered your children together, even as a hen gathers her chickens under her wings, and you would not. Behold, your house is forsaken to you desolate, and I tell you that you will not see me hereafter until you say, Blessed is he that comes in the name of Yahuwah. Chapter 24. And Yeshua went out, and as he was departing from the temple, his Talmudim came near in order to show him the buildings of the temple. But he answered them, saying, Regard you all of these things? Truly I tell you, there will not be left here a stone upon a stone that will not be overthrown. And as he sat upon the Mount of Olives, his Talmudim approached him privately, saying, Tell us, when will these things be? And what sign will there be at your coming and the end of the world? Then Yeshua answered and said to them, Let no man deceive you, for many will come in my name, saying, I am Messiah, and will deceive many. For you will hear of wars and rumors of wars. See that you are not foolish. It must be that such things be done, but the end is not yet. For nation will rise against nation, and kingdom against kingdom, and there will be pestilence, famine, and earthquakes in every place, and these are but the beginning of plagues. Then will they give you over to tribulation, and will slay you, and all goyim will hate you on account of my name. And then will many be offended, and a man will betray his neighbor. Yes, a man will hate his brother. And many false prophets will arise, and will lead many astray. And because apostasy will abound, the love of many will wax cold. But whoever endures to the end, the same will be saved. And this good news of the kingdom will be proclaimed throughout the world, for a witness to all the goyim, and then will the end come. When you therefore will see the abomination of desolation spoken of by Daniel the prophet, he who said that it would stand in the set-apart place, whoever reads, let him understand. Then let them which are in the Yehuda flee to the mountains, and he that is upon the roof, let him not descend to take anything out of his house, and he that is in the field, let him not return to take his clothes. But woe to them that are with child, and to them that are about to bear, and to them that give suck in those days. And pray you that your flight be not in the winter, neither on the Sabbath. For then will be great tribulation, such as there has never been, from the beginning of the world until now, neither will be after it. And if those days had not been shortened, there should no flesh be saved. Only on account of the chosen, those days will be shortened. Then if any man says to you, Behold, here is the Messiah, or there, believe it not, because there will arise false messiahs and false prophets, and will give great signs and wonders, that so they may bring about, if that it were possible, the going astray of the very chosen. Behold, I have told you. Therefore, if they will say to you, Behold, he is in the wilderness, go not out. Behold, he is in the apartments, believe it not. For as the lightning goes out from the east, and appears even to the west, so will be the coming of the Son of Man. Wherever the carcass is, there will the eagles be gathered together. And immediately after the tribulation of those days will the sun be darkened, and the moon will not give her light, and the stars will fall from heaven, and the powers of heaven will be shaken. And then will appear the sign of the Son of Adam in heaven, and then will all the tribes of the land mourn, when they will see the Son of Adam coming in the clouds of heaven with great power and glory. And he will send his angels with a shofar and a great voice, that they may gather together his chosen from the four winds, from the heights of heaven to its extremities. Learn you the parable from the fig tree. When its branch is tender and the leaves sprout, you know that the summer fruit is near. So likewise you, when you will see all these things, know that it is near, even at the doors. Truly I say to you, this generation will not pass away until the whole is accomplished. Heaven and earth will pass away, but my words will never pass away. Until that day, and concerning that hour, there will be no man that knows, not even the angels in heaven, but my Father only. And as it was in the days of Noah, so will it be at the coming of the Son of Adam. For as they were in the days that were before the flood, eating and drinking, marrying and given in marriage, until the day that Noah entered into the ark, and knew not until the flood came and took them all away, so will be the coming of the Son of Adam. Then will two be in the field, one will be taken and one left. Two will be grinding at the mill, one will be taken and one will be left. Be you alert therefore, for you know not at what hour your Adon comes. But know this, if the householder had known at what hour the thief would come, in truth he would have been alert, and not allowed his house to be broken into. Therefore be you also ready, for you know not at what hour the Son of Adam comes. Who then is faithful and prudent servant, whom the master had set over his household, that he may give them bread in due season? Happy is that servant who, at his master's coming to his house, he will find so doing. Truly I tell you that in truth he will set him over his substance. But if such a servant will say evilly in his heart that his master delays to come, and begins to hit the servants which are with him, and eats and drinks with the drunken, the master of that servant will come on a day when he expects not, and in an hour when he knows not, and will surprise him suddenly, and appoint his portion with the hypocrites. There will be weeping and gnashing of teeth. Chapter 25. Then will the kingdom of heaven be comparable to 10 virgins, which took their torches and went out to meet the bridegroom. 5 of them were foolish, and 5 of them were prudent. The 5 foolish, when they took the torches, took no oil with them, but the prudent took the oil in their vessels with the torches. And while the bridegroom was delayed, they all slumbered and slept. And at midnight there was a cry, Behold, the bridegroom has come. Go out now to meet him. Then all those virgins arose and made ready their torches. And the foolish said to the prudent, Give us now of your oil, for our torches are extinguished. But the prudent answered and said to them, We may not give you, lest there suffice not for us and you. But go now therefore to them that sell, and buy for yourselves. And while they went to buy, the bridegroom came, and they that were ready went in with him to the marriage, and the door was shut. And after that came the rest of the virgins, saying, my master, open to us. But he answered, saying, Amen, I say to you, I know you not. Be you alert therefore, for you know not the day and the hour when the Son of Adam comes. For it is like the man who went abroad, seafaring, and which called his servants, and delivered to them his substance. To one he gave 5 talents, to another 2, and to another 1. To every man gave he according to his power, and right away took his journey. Then he that had received the 5 talents went and traded with the same, and gained another 5. And likewise he that had received the 2 gained still another 2. But he that had received the 1 went and dug in the earth and hid it in the earth. And it came to pass that after a long time that master returned and made an accounting with them. So he that received the 5 talents came near and brought still another 5 talents, saying, My master, you delivered to me 5 talents, and behold, I have added to them still 5 others. And his master said to him, Aha, in that you have been a good servant, and faithful over a few, come, and I will give you charge over the many. Go enter into the joy of your master. He also that received the 2 talents came near and said, Master, you delivered to me the 2 talents, and behold, I have gained these 2 more. And his master said to him, Aha, and that you have been a good servant and faithful over the few, come now, and I will give you charge over the many. Go enter into the joy of your master. He also that had received the 1 talent came near and said, Master, I know that you are a hard man, and reap where you have not sown, and gather where you have not scattered. And I was afraid, and went and hid your talent in the earth. Behold, you have what is yours. And his master answered and said to him, You evil and slothful servant, you knew that I reap where I have not sown, and gather where I have not scattered. You ought to have delivered my money to the money changers, then surely at my coming I should have received my own with increase. Take now therefore the talent from him, and give it to him that has the 10 talents. For to whoever has, to him will be given, and he will have abundance. But who has not, from him even what he seems to have shall be taken away. And the idle servant cast you him into the darkness outside, where there will be weeping and gnashing of teeth. And when the Son of Adam comes in his glory, and all his angels with him, then will he sit upon his glorious throne. And he will bring before himself all nations, and will separate them, these from those, as the shepherd separates the lambs from the kids. And he will set the lambs on the right hand, and the kids on the left hand. And then will the king say to them that are on his right hand, Come, you blessed by my Father, and possess the kingdom prepared for you from the beginning of the world. I was hungry, you gave me to eat. I was thirsty, and you gave me to drink. I was a stranger, and you entertained me. I was naked, and you clothed me. I was sick, and you visited me. I was in prison, and you came to me. Then will the righteous answer him, saying, Adonai, when saw we you hungry, and fed you, or thirsty, and gave you drink? And when saw we you a stranger, and entertained you, or naked, and clothed you? Or when saw we you sick, or in prison, and came to you? And the king will answer and say to them, Amen, I say to you, inasmuch as you have done it to one of these, which are to me as younger brothers, it is as if you had done it to me. And then will the king say to them that are on his left hand, Withdraw from me, you cursed, go you into the eternal fire, prepared for Satan and his angels. For I was hungry, and you gave me not to eat. I was thirsty, and you gave me no drink. I was a stranger, and you entertained me not. I was naked, and you clothed me not. I was sick and in prison, and you visited me not. Then will they answer him, saying, Adonai, how saw we you hungry, or thirsty, or a stranger, or naked, or sick, or in prison, and did not service to you? Then will he answer them, saying, Amen, I say to you, inasmuch as you did it not to one of these little ones, you did it not to me. And these will go away to eternal punishment, but the righteous to the eternal life. Chapter 26. And it came to pass, when Yeshua had finished all these sayings, he said to his Talmudim, You know that after 2 days is the Pesach, and the Son of Man will be betrayed, and shall be bound, that he be crucified. Then were assembled the Kohanim and the elders of the people to the court of the chief Kohen, who was called Caiaphas, and consulted that they might secure Yeshua by subtlety and kill him. But they said, Let us not do this on the feast day, lest there be a great commotion among the people. And as Yeshua was in one Bethania, in the house of Shimon the jar merchant, there approached him a woman having in her hand a flask of precious oil, which she poured upon his head as he was sitting. And when the Talmudim saw it, they were vexed, and said, To what purpose is this waste? For this oil could have been sold for much, and given to the poor. When Yeshua knew, he said to them, Why pester you this woman? For she has wrought a good and wonderful work upon me. And the poor will be continually with you, but I will not be continually with you. For in that she has cast away this oil upon my body, she has done it for my burial. Truly I tell you, in every place where this good news will be proclaimed throughout the world, there will be told of all that she has done for her name and her memorial. Then went one of his 12 Talmudim, and it was he which was called Yehuda, from Keriot, and went to the chief Kohanim, and said to them, What will you give me, and I will deliver him to you? And they allotted him 30 pieces of silver. Thereafter he sought a convenient time to betray him. And on the first day of the feast of unleavened bread, the Talmudim came near to Yeshua, saying, Where will you eat the Pesach? And Yeshua said, Go you into the city to such a one, and say to him, The teacher said, My time is at hand, and with you will I celebrate the Pesach with my Talmudim. And the Talmudim did as Yeshua commanded them, and prepared the Pesach. And when it was evening, he sat down at the table with his 12 Talmudim. And as they did eat, he said, Amen, I tell you that one of you will betray me. And their anger was kindled exceedingly, and each one began saying, Am I he, my master? But he answered and said, He that dips the hand with me in the dish, the same will betray me. And surely the Son of Adam goes, as it is written of him, but woe to that man by whose hand the Son of Adam will be betrayed. It would have been good for that man if he had not been born. Then Yehuda, who betrayed him, answered and said, Am I he, Rabbi? And he said to him, You have said. And it came to pass, as they sat down to eat, Yeshua took the bread, and blessed and broke, and gave to his Talmudim, saying, Take you, and eat this, which is my body. And afterwards he took the cup, and blessed, and gave to them, saying, Drink you all of it, for this is my blood of the new covenant, which is shed for many to atone for sinners. And I tell you, hereafter I will not drink of the fruit of the vine until that day when I drink it new with you in the kingdom of my Father which is in heaven. And when they had recited the psalm, they went out to the Mount of Olives. Then said Yeshua to them, All you will be offended in me this night. It is written, Smite the shepherd, and the flock will be scattered. But after I have risen, I will go into Galilee before you. Then answered Caiaphas and said to him, If they all will be offended, I will not be offended in you. And Yeshua said to him, Amen, I tell you that this night before the rooster crows 3 times will you deny me. And Caiaphas said to him, Even if I must die with you, I will not deny you. And so likewise said all the Talmudim. Then comes Yeshua with them to a village whose name was Geshmanim, and said to his Talmudim, Sit you here, while I go yonder and pray. And he took with him Caiaphas and the 2 sons of Zebedee, and began to be grieved and downcast. And then said he to them, My nephesh is grieved to death. await you me here, and watch with me. And he passed on a little, and fell on his face, and prayed, saying, O Father, if it is possible that this cup pass away from me, let it be done. But let it not be done as I will, but as you will. And he came to his Talmudim, and found them sleeping, and said to Kepha, Could you not watch with me a single hour? Awake and pray, that you enter not into temptation. The spirit indeed is watchful, but the flesh is frail. He went away again the second time, and prayed, saying, O Father, if this cup cannot pass away from me, but I must drink it, be it as you will. And he came again, and found them sleeping, for their eyes were heavy. And he went away again, and prayed the third time, and said the same prayer as he had said already. Then came he to his Talmudim, and said to them, You have slept now, and taken your rest. Behold, the hour is at hand, wherein the Son of Adam will be given into the hands of sinners. Arise and let us go. Behold, he draws near that betrays me. While he was still speaking, behold, Yehuda, one of his 12 Talmudim, came, and with him a great force, with swords and spears, that were sent from the chief Kohanim and elders of the people. Now Yehuda, who betrayed him, had given a sign to those people which came with him, saying, Whomever I will kiss, that same is he. Secure you him. And forthwith he approached Yeshua, and said, Shalom, Rabbi, and kissed him. And Yeshua said to him, Beloved, why have you come? Then they came near, and laid hands on Yeshua, and seized him. And behold, one of them which was with Yeshua put out his hand, and drew his sword, and struck the servant of the chief Kohen, and cut off his ear. Then said Yeshua to him, Return your sword to its place, for all they that take the sword will perish with the sword. Think you that I cannot ask of my Father that he should send now on my behalf more than 12 legions of angels? But how then will the Scriptures be established which have written that in this way it must be done? In that same hour said Yeshua to the crowds, Have you come out to meet me as against a robber, with swords and spears to secure me? Every day I sat beside you, and taught you in the temple, and you seized me not. But all this has come to pass to establish the Scriptures of the prophets. Then all the Talmudim forsook him and fled. So they seized Yeshua and led him to Kepha, the chief Kohen. When the scribes and the elders were gathered together, and Kepha followed him afar off to the court of the chief Kohen, and entered into the Bet Din, and sat with the menials to see what would be the end. Now the chief Kohanim and the whole council sought false witness against Yeshua to deliver him up to death, but they found none, though there came forward many false witnesses. But at the last there came 2 false witnesses, and he said, I can pull down the temple of El, and before 3 days I can build it. Then the chief Kohen arose and said to him, Answer you nothing at all concerning these things which they witness against you? But Yeshua answered nothing, but was silent. Then the chief Kohen said to him, I adjure you by the living Elohim, that you tell us whether you are Messiah, the Son of Elohim. And Yeshua answered and said to him, You have said, therefore I say to you, hereafter you will see the Son of Adam that sits here on the right hand of the power of Elohim coming in the clouds of heaven. Then the chief Kohen tore his garments, saying, He has blasphemed. What further need have we of witnesses? Behold, you have heard now that he has blasphemed. How seems it to you? And they answered, saying, He is condemned to death. Then they spat in his face and struck him with the fist, and others put their hands upon his face, saying, Prophesy to us, O Messiah. who it is that assaulted you. Now Caiaphas sat out in the court, and there approached him a maidservant, saying, You too were with Yeshua the Galilean. But he denied in the sight of all, saying, I know not what you say. And when he was going out to the door, another maidservant saw him, and said to them that were there, He also was with Yeshua the Nazareth. And again he denied with an oath, and said, I do not know him. And after a while they that stood there came near, and said to Caiaphas, In truth you are of them, for your tongue reveals you. Then began he to curse and to swear that he knew not that man, and immediately the rooster crowed. And Caiaphas remembered the words of Yeshua, who had said, Before the rooster crows 3 times will you deny me. And then he went outside and wept bitterly. Chapter 27. And it came to pass in the morning that all the chief Kohanim and elders of the people were in a conclave together concerning Yeshua, in order to condemn him to death. And they bound him and led him away, and delivered him to Pontius Pilate the governor. Then Yehuda, who had betrayed him, saw that he was condemned to death, and repented, and brought again the 30 pieces of silver which had been given him, and gave them to the chief Kohanim and elders, saying, I have sinned, in that I have betrayed the blood of the righteous. But they said, What is that to us? See you to it. And he cast the 30 pieces of silver into the temple, and hanged himself with an halter. And the chief Kohanim took the pieces of silver, and said, It is not right to cast them into the treasury, for they are the price of blood. And they took counsel, and bought with them the portion of the potter's field for the burial of strangers. Therefore the portion was called Kakel Damah to this day. Then was fulfilled that which was spoken by the prophet, who said, And they took the 30 pieces of silver, a good price of him that was valued, whom they valued of the children of Israel, and gave them for the potter's portion, as Yehu appointed me. Now Yeshua stood before the governor, and the governor asked him, saying, Are you king of the Jews? And Yeshua answered him, and said, You say. But when the chief Kohanim and elders slandered him, he answered them nothing. Then said Pilate to him, Hear you not the testimony which they witness against you? But he answered him nothing, not even a single word, so that the governor marveled exceedingly. Now on the feast day it was the custom for the governor to bring out to the people one prisoner whom they would. And they had then in custody one prisoner, a bandit, whose name was called Barabbas. Therefore when they were assembled, Pilate said to them, Who wish you that I release to you, Barabbas or Yeshua, which is called Messiah? For he knew that for hatred they had delivered him up. And when he had sat down on the judgment seat, his wife sent to him, saying, Have you nothing to do with this righteous man? For I have suffered many things this day because of him. But the chief Kohanim and elders persuaded the people to ask Barabbas and destroy Yeshua. And the governor answered and said to them, Which of the two wish you that I release to you? And they said, Barabbas. And Pilate said to them, What will I do then with Yeshua, who is called Messiah? And they all answered and said, Let him be crucified. Then the governor said to them, But what evil has he done? And they repeated and cried, Let him be crucified. Then Pilate saw that he could prevail nothing, for a great commotion arose. Therefore he took water and washed his hands before the people, saying, I am innocent of the blood of this righteous man. This see you. Then answered all the people and said, His blood be on us and our children. Then released he Barabbas to them, but delivered Yeshua to them to be scourged with whips and crucified. And then the soldiers of the governor took Yeshua and delivered him to them in the judgment hall, and gathered to him the whole crowd. And they stripped him and robed him in a scarlet tunic, and encircled his head with thorns for a crown, and placed a reed in his right hand, and bowed their knees before him, and mocked him, saying, Shalom to you, King of the Jews. And they spit upon him, and they took the reed, and smote him on the head. And after that they had ridiculed him, they stripped him of his tunic, and clothed him in his own garments, and led him away to be crucified. And as they were going out, they found a man of Cyrene, which name was Shimon, and they brought to carry his gallows. And when they had come to the place which is termed Golgotha, they gave him wine mingled with gall. And when he had tasted, he would not drink. And after they had crucified him, they parted his garments and cast lots, to fulfill that which was spoken by the mouth of the prophet, who said, They parted my garments among them, and upon my garments they cast lots. And they sat down and guarded him, and they set his sentence above his head. And thus it was written, This is Yeshua, King of the Jews. Then were crucified with him 2 robbers, one on the right hand, and one on the left hand. And all they that passed by were reviling him, and nodding their heads, saying, Aha, you that destroy the temple of Elohim, and in 3 days build it, save yourself. If you be the Son of Elohim, come down from the gallows. And likewise the chief Kohanim reviled him with the scribes and elders, saying, He saved others, but himself he cannot save. If he is the King of Israel, let him now come down from his gallows, and we will believe in him. He believed in Elohim, let him deliver him now, if he delight in him. For he said, I am the Son of Elohim. And so likewise the robbers which were crucified with him reproached him. Now from the 6th hour there was darkness over all the land until the 9th hour. And at the 9th hour Yeshua cried with a loud voice, and said, my El, why have you forgotten me? And some of the men that stood by, when they heard, and said, He calls for Eliyahu. And one of them ran right away, and took the sponge, and filled it with vinegar, and put it on a reed, and gave him to drink. But the others said, Let be, and let us see if Eliyahu will come and deliver him. Then Yeshua cried again with a loud voice, and yielded up his spirit. And behold, the veil of the temple was torn in two, from the top to the bottom, and the earth did quake, and the rocks were torn, and the sepulchres were open, and many bodies of the set apart ones which were laid arose, and went out from the sepulchres after his resurrection, and entered into the set apart city, and were seen by many. And the centurions which were with Yeshua to guard him, when they saw the earthquake and those things that had come to pass, were exceedingly afraid, and said, In truth, he was the Son of Elohim. Now many women were there, beholding afar off, which followed Yeshua from Galilee, serving him, among whom was Miriam from Magdala, and Miriam bat Yaakov, and the mother of Joseph, and the mother of Zabdi. And when it was evening, there came one rich man from Haramathaim, whose name was Joseph, and he also was Talmud of Yeshua. And he approached Pilate and asked the body of Yeshua. Then Pilate commanded the body of Yeshua to be given. And Joseph took the body of Yeshua and wrapped it in pure linen, and placed it in his new sepulchre, which was cut out of the rock. Then he rolled the great stone over the door of the sepulchre, and went his way. And there were Miriam from Magdala, and the other Miriam sitting over against the sepulchre. Now on the next day, which was following the search for leaven, the chief Kohanim and Perushim came together to Pilate, saying, My master, we remember that this deceiver said, Before 3 days after my death I will rise again. Therefore give command to guard the sepulchre until the 3rd day, lest his Talmudim enter and steal him away, and say to the people that he has risen from the dead. So the last error will be worse than the first. And Pilate said to them, Behold, you have a guard. Go and keep guard as you know. So they went and made the sepulchre inaccessible with guards, and sealed the stone. Chapter 28. And in the evening of the Sabbath, as it dawned toward the 1st day of the week, came Miriam from the Magdala, and the other Miriam to see the sepulchre. And behold, there had been a great earthquake, for the angel of YEHUA had descended from heaven, and approached and rolled away the stone from the door, and sat on it. And his appearance was like lightning, and his garments like snow. And for fear of him the guards trembled, and became as dead. And the angel answered and said to the women, Fear you not. I know that you are seeking YESHUA. He is not here, for he has risen, as he said. Come now and see the place wherein Ha'adon was laid. And go now right away and tell his Talmudim that he has risen from the dead. And behold, he goes before to Galilee, and there will you see him. And behold, I have told you. And they went out quickly from the sepulchre with fear and great joy, and ran to tell his Talmudim. And as they were going to tell his Talmudim, behold, YESHUA came to meet them, saying, Shalom be with you. And behold, they approached, and held him by the feet, and worshipped him. Then said YESHUA to them, Fear you not. Go now and tell my brothers that they go to Galilee, for there will they see me. And when they were gone away, behold, some of the guards came to the city, and told the chief Kohanim all that had come to pass. And when they had assembled the elders and had taken counsel, they gave much money to the soldiers, saying, Say you that his Talmudim came by night and stole him away while we lay down. And if this should be heard by the governor, we will persuade him and secure you. So they took the money and did as they were taught. And the saying is common among the Jews until this day. Then his 11 Talmudim went away to Galilee, to a mountain where YESHUA had appointed them. And they saw him and worshipped him, but some doubted. And YESHUA approached and spoke to them, saying, All authority is given to me in heaven and earth. Go you therefore and teach all the Goyim, and immerse them in the name of the Father and the Son and the Ruach HaKodesh, and teach them to observe all that I have commanded you, and here am I with you all the days to the end of the world.